Hey, I'm Erick Dominguez, and this is my last homework for social responsibility and citizenship, the work 11, human. Before starting with the answer for the question, what does it mean to be human today, I'd like to talk a little bit of what has been being human for almost 6 centuries. And it comes from the Renaissance, where, well, we were from this period which is called medieval, and when the Renaissance comes, a whole of factors starts changing. For example, how we are going to conceive the world, how God is going to be within our conception, but He's not going to define it. Philosophy starts to have a huge rise, but all this was created by men, mainly. European men, they come from Italy, so it means that they had a certain color on their skin. It means that they had the possibility to get this kind of way to think from the wise people from the Constantinople kingdom. So they got the skills, the resources to develop those skills, about to think, about to develop, about to create, about get his human dignity through how they can think, or they can have this awareness about the world that creates the concept of human. So it's important to remark it, because that's why today in our society, women, for example, don't fit in within those standards. That's why black people don't fit in within that standard. So yes, we have this kind of privilege for being men and white. And it's interesting because with that in concept, with that in mind, I can answer that what does it mean to be human today with this background? It's to be a white man who is capable to think and be critic to the world. Well, and all this stuff, plus big money. Because if you have money, you have access to this way to life quality, to get food, to get education, to get too many things. So with this background, that means to be human today. How can I move it and relate it with citizenship? I think that we have to deconstruct that construct because at the end, sometimes we don't know where things come from. That is a thing that Umberto Eco calls, Umberto Eco says we have to avoid the decodificación aberrante. But if we don't do this decodificación aberrante, we think in the same way that we were taught to think. So my way to translate it to a citizen concept is having this awareness about how to think things, how to do things different, how to think different, and how to behave different. And it means how to conceive the world in a different way in order to be more fair for every person. Starting from that we are a person, probably we should stop thinking about humanity and start thinking about personity or person. stop human, start person, because we can, or we are able to think from other dimension, and this would be a quite huge change, because as Wittgenstein used to say, los límites de mi lenguaje son los límites de mi mundo. And if we have this concept within our minds, we are going to perceive it in that way. So if we change it, we can think in another way. For example, if I told you a black person, probably you are going to think in a black person. But that is a construct. Instead of if I said a person, you are not going to have that kind of sesgo. What makes you think in this or that? You are going to conceive it as he is a person. And this could be applied in too many aspects. I mean, this is a kind of theory that I'm developing against Umberto Eco. I mean, I'm a quite fan of Umberto Eco, but in this case, I think that could save us as society. The fact of the codificación aberrante. I mean, he said that it must be avoided after all, but I said I'm against of that. Then what could you like to improve about yourself? I think that I think that I am a quite aware person about himself, about his privilege, about everything what is around me. But I think that there are some things that probably I am forgetting. For example, within the documentary, a man from Uruguay says money kills us as human beings. And I think that it's true. Because at the end, when we talk about the behavior, we talk about the environment, but I think that we could start thinking about how much money is there around the context and how that is pushing you to do either that way or that way. I mean, it's interesting. And I think that I'm going to start thinking about what kind of standards do we have? Do we have in money? Do we have in job? Do we have in a relationship? Do we have as a success? So at the end, all those kind of standards or social standards set it by capitalism are surrounding us in order to push us to help the capitalism instead of create our own standards and break up the capitalism. So I think that it is that I can say about this tough documentary.